I want to ask the question, is music forbidden in Islam? And the answer is a resounding no. Well, let me qualify the answer. Some say music leads to sexual arousal, while others argue that this spices up their sex life. And this they do very successfully. And I don't find any problem with that. Others say music leads to moral acts. Now, I think a useful rule to follow is to avoid loud and noisy music, those that have vulgar lyrics, those that incite to racism, also music leading to perverted sexual feeling, so on. We have a natural attraction towards music. There's a musical center in our brains, so it's part of our constitution. If you observe a 2-year-old child and you play an upbeat song, find that his body will spontaneously gyrate, and this synchronizes with the tempo of the song. Now, these are complex movements, which are coordinated, and he does this with little or no prior learning. This is because music is part of the human constitution. It is an inborn quality. So, music is not instinctive, but we have an instinct to learn music. Now, the musical center is closely associated with the speech center. Speech is not instinctive, but we have a capacity to learn it. You can teach a child hundreds of words in a very short time, while it will take years for a chimpanzee to learn only a few words. So, similarly with music, as I said, we have a capacity for music, inborn quality, an affinity for that. Now, if a pregnant mother, sings a song, she repeats the song, the child will eventually recognize that song. And if the child is born, the mother repeats the melody, the child will recognize the melody and it will have a soothing effect on the baby. Now, you find that premature babies, those who are sickly, they recover quicker in the musical environment. Music is therefore therapeutic. You find that the musical geniuses of our time, like Beethoven, Bach, and the Beatles, they have exceptional musical talent, and certainly this has a genetic basis. Now, if music is evil, you ask yourself the question, did God put evil genes in those people? Now, in chapter 728, the answer is, never does God enjoy indecency. There's an interesting story about a relatively young lady who developed aggressive Alzheimer's disease, and there was a rapid decline in her cognitive functions. And the last function still to remain was an ability to play her music, which she could still remember. And this gave her endless pleasure and a sense of purpose for life. Now, are you telling me that the mercy of God would have prevented this lady from exercising her only pleasure? Music is an integral part of the cosmos. The design of the universe is based on the frequencies of the basic musical notes. There's a fascinating piece of research about a group of scientists studied a extrasolar system about 43 light years from the Earth. And they wanted to know why this solar system is so stable after billions of years of existence. And they realized, or they found, that there was a mathematical relationship between the motions of the planets. And this was associated with the frequency of the basic notes of the musical alphabet. And this musical mathematical relationship clamped down on the destabilization caused by the gravitational effects of the planets on each other. So by doing this, it ensured stability, and that is why the planets still exist today. So music, we see, therefore, is an important part of the universe. The language of the universe is musical, mathematical. Now I want to talk about those people, the clergy, the imams, the mullahs, who speak out against music. There's 2 or 3 verses in the Quran which I'm going to quote to you, which actually, support acquisition of musical skills or listening to music. Chapter 73, verse 4, God says the Quran must be recited in a rhythmical manner, in other words, in a musical manner. Then in 732, it says, then, who has forbidden the beautiful gifts and aesthetic pleasures that God has brought forth for his servants? Then in 587, it says, why do you deny the good things which God has made lawful for you? So here's a clear indication that, one shouldn't declare forbidden which God has made permissible. And especially when, according to the Quran, music is a beautiful gift from God, it's therapeutic, it's part of the human constitution, it's wholesome. Finally, we read in chapter 34, verse 14 in the Quran, that the Prophet Solomon instructed his wild tribe which he tamed to build beautiful arches, sculptures, paintings, and musical instruments in his palace. Now, if a prophet of God enjoyed art and music, who are we to reject it? So, I appeal to those leaders not to make statements like that, that music is forbidden, or speak out against it or condemn, while it is something that is wholesome and beneficial for us. So please, before you make statements like that, make sure that you understand the subject before making any irresponsible declarations.